What's up, you fucking nerds? So, I often talk about how my channel is for the Fayetteville community and the toy collectors in the Fayetteville community, and not necessarily, for people all around the country. So, I decided to do my first toy walk around of Fayetteville. I do a lot of toy hunting. I like to go out and toy hunt. It's good exercise for me because, as we know, I have issues with my legs and stuff like that. And besides going to places like Masrick Park to take toy photos, going out and walking around from store to store is actually really good exercise. But being somebody who goes to pretty much every Walmart in Fayetteville and Hobbytown and Hobby Lobby and sometimes Walgreens and Target and GameStops, because I have entirely too much free time on my hands. I figured maybe I should start, documenting what I find week by week for local collectors or collectors in the surrounding area that want to come to Fayetteville. Now, granted, some of these finds are a few days old. This walkthrough took place between March 31st and April 5th last week. Um, yeah, hit a bunch of spots. One thing I hate some YouTubers that do stuff is I hate when they film in stores. It's rude. Sorry. What I have opted to do is I took photos of the aisles and I'm going to narrate it. Um, I know that, some people like watching the YouTubers walk around, but um, to regular shoppers, it can be a bit awkward. Also, I'm not particularly a fan of somebody putting me on camera in their video without my permission. Although I can't claim innocence because I've done that at conventions, but a convention's a little different environment than, say, Walmart. At conventions, you expect people to be taking photos and videos because of cosplayers and stuff like that, the experience. When you're at Walmart or Target or GameStop and somebody's just walking around with a camera, um, yeah, that kind of bugs me. Um, but it is what it is. Everybody has their own style. I don't, I can voice my opinion about it, but I don't, get in anybody's way when they're filming their videos. Um, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be that dude who, is a dick to other content creators. Um, but yeah, before I get the video started, I'd like to say, give a little shout out to one of my favorite channels, Brandon Tennell's Cult Movie Reviews. He did a review of Slithis this week. Um, Damn review had me fucking rolling, dude. That shit was great. I love watching his videos. He does cult movie reviews, and just some where he gets some of the footage for certain movies just blows my mind. Because I mean, he absolutely comes up with some oddball shit sometimes to be on his reviews. To date, his Transformers the movie review is still my favorite, but Slithis was pretty funny. It posted 2 days ago from the recording of this video. Also, doing a little bit of do a little bit of searching online, doing a little bit of toy shopping online. Bad Monkey Fiction is knocking it out of the park. Of course, they have Operation Monster Force, but they've got some other stuff coming out that are related lines. They're coming out with the what is it? Last year, a year before, they came out with what was it, the Lunchbox Heroes, which were a 3.75 or 4-inch 5 POA action figure, and now they are coming out with 1/12 scale fully articulated action figures, starting with the Tick and the Rocketeer. The Rocketeer figures look like that they would blend very good with the Operation Monster Force figures, um, especially the bad guys. I'm not too familiar with Rocketeer. It wasn't one of those franchises that I followed. But the Tick, on the other hand, um, there's a very good, very old friend of mine. Him and I used to skate together back in the day. We talk maybe once or twice a year, get together even less. But I think I may actually be buying him a Tick figure as well as me one because he was a huge Tick fan back in the day. And I think it would be kind of a neat little surprise to just, for it to pop up in his mailbox or something. But yeah, Bad Monkey Fiction is doing that. They've also got just a bunch of other really cool shit coming out. And then Boss Fight Studios. Yeah, man. So I've been collecting the Vitruvian Hacks series, which is a 3.75 series that God, I've been collecting it for a few years now, well before the pandemic. I love their Amazonian warriors and stuff like that, but recently they have upped their game big time. Their 3.75 figures look amazing. Plus, I had no idea when I did a review earlier last year that the Court of the Dead figures were also part of Boss Fight Studios. Um, which is funny because I compared it to a Boss Fight Studios figure. Um, did not realize that. And then of course, yeah, I mean, they've got Popeye, they've got what is it, Fraggle Rock, um, more, medieval and Amazonians and stuff like that coming out. Plus, they've got the Epic Hack series, which came out a year before last, if I remember correctly. But um, and the first wave was pretty cool. I have two figures from that wave, actually three, two of the same figure, and then one of the other ones. I got the two Roman phalanx soldiers. How do you say that? I know I'm murdering that word. And then I've got the what is it? The skeleton pro wrestler. Um, great figures, but the newer ones that they're coming out with, the next wave, fucking god, just amazing. Yeah, Boss Fight Studios is really knocking it out of the park. It's funny because a lot of the retailers, I mean not retailers, but toy manufacturers that we've grown up with, like Hasbro and stuff like that, are basically shit in the bed these days. And other independent toy manufacturers are releasing just as good, if not better, toys at the same price point, and then sometimes lower. And of course, we're going to get into that when I do my walk around because there's some new Legends figures that came out that Hasbro's lost their fucking mind, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So now that we've got, that out of the way, let me go ahead and we are going to start um, by looking at the first bits of pictures. So we are going to start with let's get Walmart out of the way because there's a lot of Walmarts in Fayetteville. I mean, there's one, two, three, four, five, seven, six or seven Walmarts in Fayetteville if you don't include the neighborhood markets. The neighborhood markets make it about uh 10 to 12. Yeah. Fayetteville's a military town because of Fort Bragg, and um, I mean, Walmart, caters to a lot of military families. I mean, I, yeah. Anyways, I mean, nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying there's fucking a lot of Walmarts in Fayetteville. I've been to towns, conventions all over the East Coast where some towns don't even have a Walmart or only have one Walmart, and they're bigger cities than fucking Fayetteville, but Fayetteville has like seven. But you know what? Walmart's going to build places. Walmart's going to build stores where the money is, and well, I guess the money is here in Fayetteville. So let's start with the first Walmart. So we're going to start with the Skybo Road store. Um, so yeah, let me Mhm. So, um, so the first thing I noted at the Skybo Road store is they have the new MCU Marvel Legends. Um, Price point is still the same, but you can tell Hasbro is gearing down for getting out of the toy market, at least at the retail level, because these are reissues of older figures that we've gotten, the Spider-Man and the Captain America. And yeah, they have the basic paint apps. Like these look like crap. For $25, you know, I expect at least the paint apps that the original figures had during their original release. Um, like the Spider-Man, like absolutely no paint apps and no detail. Like he is the most basic fucking figure I've ever fucking seen. Same with Cap. No weathering, no nothing. I mean, they both look very, very, very well like plasticky. They did have the carded Electro from the new Spider-Man wave on the retro card. We're going to revisit this figure at a different Walmart. You'll see why in a little bit. Because that Electro is a relatively new figure, as in, like, it's only been out a month or two. And I want you to keep that in mind while we talk about it. So, the next section we have is Star Wars. Um, So you will notice that in these pictures, this Walmart is full of vintage collection and Black Series. With the exception of the Farm Boy Luke, all these figures have been here for well over 3 or 4 weeks. I can say that because I picked up Anakin and a Clone Trooper 3 or 4 weeks ago from this Walmart, and I think I picked up Farm Boy Luke from this Walmart too. I don't actually recall off the top of my head. Yep, I'm looking on my wall behind me in my office, and yeah, he's up there. So yeah, I must have grabbed him too. So yeah, these figures have literally, and this is one of the busiest Walmarts in Fayetteville. I'm talking this Walmart is fucking insane busy. It is literally in the center of Fayetteville, near the mall, near all the shopping centers. You know, two of the biggest comic stores, the Dragon's Lair and Angry Comics, are basically within a mile in different directions of this store. There's Game Stops everywhere, yet nobody. I mean, there's literally a GameStop in front of this Walmart that is always blown the fuck out because they never have anything in stock because everybody hits that fucking GameStop. But the fact that everybody hits that GameStop, that means you have to ask yourself, if these Star Wars figures have been on the pegs for weeks now and nobody's touching them, that means nobody's fucking buying Star Wars. That means Disney has run the property into the fucking ground, which is sad because I'm still a Star Wars fan. Um, and again, it's Hasbro. It's not. I shouldn't. Disney has run the property into the ground, but it's also Hasbro with their ridiculously huge price hikes. Because if you jump next to the Micro Galaxy Squadron, these are you get an entire. I mean, this is a big fucking ship. Like you got Ahsoka's ship, and you have the fucking Ghost and an ATTE. They're about 40 to 50 bucks each, and that's regular retail. These things go on sale all the time. I see Target and Walmart having sales on their websites all the time. You can get the Ghost right now for like 40 bucks instead of 60. And Ahsoka's for like 30 in some spots. Um, yeah, these go on sale all the time. Like you can get these, you get a giant fucking spaceship with 3 or 4 little figures. Um, like these have a lot of playability for kids. They're super detailed for collectors, and you're getting your money's worth because when you go back to the vintage collection or the Black Series, you get an action figure and a lightsaber. That's it. Or you get a fucking action figure and a gun. Um, for like 25 or $30 each for a Black Series, and then, almost $20 for a vintage collection. But here you get an entire vehicle with some of them with light and sound, that open up, have, interiors with, you have little figures that you can play with them. The landing gears come down, the ratchets come down. Um, they got a lot of playability, and you're getting your money's worth, which is fucking something Hasbro has completely forgotten about. And it, because they've forgotten those basic rules, they've tanked their business model, and now they want to go to video games and electronics. So they are basically abandoning the retail toy market. Shit's only going to be available at Hasbro Pulse, from what I understand, and some specialty retailers like Big Bad Toy Store, but starting in 2026. So, and then of course you have the new Transformers. Now, um, Hasbro hasn't done as bad with Transformers, but I think that's mostly because, for the most part, Transformers are designed in Japan by fucking Takara. Hasbro just remarkets them and repackages them for the United States. But these are some new Transformers that have just come out. Again, we're going to put a pin in this because there's something we're going to talk about Transformers when we get to another Walmart. And then, of course, Walmart is getting more blokies in. So these are the large blokies. They are kits that are, I guess, about 6 inches tall instead of the 2 or 3 inch tall ones that come in the little square blind boxes. So these you can actually pick the character you want, and they're a little bit bigger. Hobbytown got these in as well. Sadly, I didn't take any pictures when I went to Hobbytown of the blokies. I should have. I took some pictures of some other stuff at Hobbytown. Hobbytown has a way fucking better selection of the larger blokies. They have an RC and an Elita 1 that I definitely plan on going back for when I can. Let's go down the aisle a little bit more at this Walmart, and then you have your G.I. Joe. Um, so I have mixed feelings on the G.I. Joe line. Some of the figures are really good, and then some of them Hasbro's calling it in. But with G.I. Joe, you're definitely getting more of your money's worth, um, with the G.I. Joe as opposed to Star Wars. Same company, um, you know, same factories, different production teams. I assume there must be something in the licensing somewhere with Disney that causes you not to get a lot of accessories with Star Wars because it runs the price up or something. I don't know. Again, those are things we'll never know. But like I said, with GI Joe, it's about the same price point, $25 to $30 per figure, but you get way more accessories. Um, there are some QC issues with some of the Joes, but I mean, I will give Hasbro credit where credit's due. Um, these are a much better buy than any Star Wars figure on the market. Even though I've kind of walked away from the GI Joe line because honestly, money's getting tight for everybody, and I have to pick and choose what I buy now. Um, I will say that you do get your money's worth with GI Joe. You get plenty of guns and accessories and all kinds of little things to, make your GI Joe character just a little better to play with. Um, sorry. So we are going to jump back to electronics now. So this is the Skybo store in Fayetteville. Skybo store probably has the highest crime rate of all of the Walmarts in Fayetteville. I mean, this place, I used to work here years ago. When I say years, I'm talking like almost 3 decades ago when I first got married. And even back then, this store was rough. Lots of fights, stabbing, shootings, theft, you name it, it happened there. Me and people I worked with could tell you stories. These figures back in electronics, you will notice, are behind glass. That is because, well, that is because they are highly sought after collectibles. They don't want to get this shit stolen. So yeah, we have the McFarlane toys. I will say, these figures when I saw them, I think I went back yesterday and they're already gone. But it's funny that these figures that I'm showing you right now are already out because they haven't even been put up for pre-order in Big Bad Toy Store, and I think the solicitation for them just came out at the end of this week, and I saw these at Walmart on Monday of last week. Yeah, this Batman, I'm not familiar with this storyline with Batman, but him having a shoulder, not a oh, not a shoulder holster, yeah, shoulder holster, um, with a 45. I know that's not Thomas Wayne, but I'm not sure what this storyline is. I'm not familiar with it. And then of course you have these Spawn figures, and you have more you get your Turtles figures at the bottom, more McFarlane toys, but this is stuff we've seen for a while. So this right here is stuff that, you know, Hasbro really needs to, and Mattel to some extent, needs to really start taking a cue from Bandai. Because Bandai really knows how to market fucking toys. And I mean, right now, the Japanese companies are literally um, dominating the United States toy market. You got here right here with the Anime Heroes line, characters from One Piece. I mean, they come with a ton of they come with a ton of hands, accessories, and the figure, which the figure is, you know, pretty well articulated for a $20 figure. I mean, I've seen better articulated figures, but this one's still pretty fucking good. And then, of course, down here in the next picture, you have SH Figure Arts here in the States. And this is like the SD super deformed, Vegeta and I think Goku might be in there somewhere, but Goku's the popular one in this line. Again, more anime heroes, and then of course you got the I guess the 4-inch or 3.75-inch line. Here of the Demon Slayer figures and Dragon Ball statues and Funko Pops. It's just, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're kind of fucking killing it right now, and it's kind of sad actually. So let's go to the Gillis Hill Walmart next. So let's start with, the Gillis Hill Walmart had pretty much the same stuff in stock that the other Walmart did on Skybo, but they had two things that kind of stood out. One, they have the new Street Fighter figures and the new Sonic the Hedgehog figures. So the Street Fighter figures by Jada Toys are fucking amazing. Barnes and Noble had them in stock as well. Barnes and Noble had a shitload of them in stock, including the newer ones like DJ and Cammy. Um, but these are great figures. Again, $20 price point. Extra head. Extra hands. Fight effects. Like Ryu with his fireball and stuff like that for $20, 20 to $25. I mean, and then you have Hasbro out there putting and action figures out there that are a friggin' traffic cone with one lightsaber for 25 or $30. It's like, and you ask why Hasbro's walking away from the toy game because they've been getting their ass handed to them. It's called greed. They're more interested in shareholders than they are the actual collectors and fans. Anyways, and then here's another thing I noticed. These are new. I've never seen these before. So I do have a few of the Dragon Ball 4-inch figures that are at the $12 price point, but I've never noticed or never seen One Piece ones before. They have, again, I'm not a huge One Piece fan, but they have Zoro and Monkey D. Luffy. Um, I've read a little bit of the manga. I've watched a few episodes of the anime, one of the movies, I think. But these are kind of cool, and they scale perfectly with the Dragon Ball that are right beside them at the same price point. Again, why isn't Hasbro releasing? Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Hasbro has cheaper end toys, so does Mattel. But and I know I've been harping a lot on Hasbro, but I mean, they're the biggest offenders though. So you have Hasbro like releasing, five POA piece of garbage toys, stormtroopers at this price point, whereas Bandai is releasing, God, this has almost as much articulation, as some SH Figure Arts. I mean, SH Figure Arts is gonna, be better articulation. This is, basic, but it's still, I mean, you got knee joints, hip joints, swivel at the hip, bicep swivel, elbow joint, joint at the articulation of the wrist, ball jointed neck, ball jointed feet, um, you know, you know, swivel at the waist. I mean, come on. I mean, and then you have Hasbro releasing a 5 POA Stormtrooper for the same price or more. Yeah. Yeah, fucking and depending on the toy, Mattel is just as guilty in some respects. Don't get me wrong, I think the Masterverse line is cool. I only own one figure in the Masterverse line. And I think they're cool. They've got pretty good articulation. But again, um, they usually only come with one or two accessories. Sometimes though they come with extra hands. The one thing I will give Mattel though is a lot of the characters in the Masterverse line they can't they don't have reuse. That's one thing that Hasbro, again, they do a lot of reuse to try to cut costs, and then they still jack the price up on us. It's like, you know, I could I could see the justification for the higher prices if it was an original sculpt every time. But like every third figure has reuse of some sort. I mean, I'd say actually every second figure, every other figure is reuse of some sort. But, you know, again, Hasbro's going to Hasbro. And of course, there's the dudes out there that are going to defend Hasbro. Next, let's go to the Hope Mills Walmart. Um, so at the Hope Mills Walmart, again, a lot of the same old, same old. They did have some new Starship Select by Hot Wheels, which I didn't get pictures of, but they did have the DVD for Lord of the Rings, the new Lord of the Rings anime, War of Rohirrim, however you say it. Um, I'm a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan. I love playing, the RPG. Over the years, I've read the books multiple times. The Hobbit is probably still one of my favorite childhood reads. I love the original Peter Jackson trilogy. Not so much the Hobbit trilogy that came out a few years later, but it is what it is. But I was really excited to hear when this anime was coming out. I thought it was going to come to theaters, but I guess I missed that. So, strangely enough, I could not find the Blu-ray for this anywhere. I actually went back around a day later and to all the Walmarts, and none of the Walmarts in Fayetteville have the Blu-ray of this. They all have the DVD. Um, and even the Walmart website does not offer the Blu-ray. Target, though, offers the Blu-ray on their website, but they no longer sell physical media like DVDs or Blu-rays in their stores, or at least not the Fayetteville store. So I couldn't go pick up the Blu-ray. And of course, there's Amazon, and Best Buy, for the most part, has phased out physical media, and they didn't have the Blu-ray either. So, yeah, I went ahead and bought the DVD, and hopefully one of these days I'll get around to ordering the Blu-ray. Um, the next two pictures, I originally took for my wife because she is a huge Harry Potter fan, and there is a new Harry Potter doll line coming out. So my wife has actually cut back on buying toys for herself a lot over the past few years, but he really likes these. Like, and these are big dolls. Like, these aren't like little teeny dolls. We're talking, these are easily 2 foot tall. And, and that night bus at the bottom shelf down there, that night bus, it sits two of these. Like, these are big toys. And you can buy clothing for all of them. Like, they make all kinds of different clothing sets. So yeah, my wife really, really, really dug these, and they will most likely be a Christmas gift or an anniversary gift. Um, yeah, I know my son doesn't watch these videos, but if for some reason my son does watch one, or one of his friends is watching, you might want to mention that his mom wants those. Um, But last but least, we're going to go to Gillespie Street. So, like I said, let's start with the toy aisle. So the toy aisle at this one, they had some more Transformers that the other Walmarts actually didn't have that are new. Like they have the Bumblebee on the card. It is the 86 sculpt from what I understand, and but it's on like the classic card that Bumblebee came on when I was a kid. And then of course they have the one of the higher end Optimus Primes. I mean it's not the top line. What's the top line is what the master grade or masterpiece or and then they have this character which I'm completely unfamiliar with. Cool looking design though, I won't lie about that. Um, so then we're going to take a trip over to their electronics section. So the electronics section at this Walmart doesn't get nearly the traffic that Skybo does. And I mean, I'm sure there's theft, but it's not nearly as bad as the other Walmarts. As you can see, they do not have their figures in glass cases here. Again, notice the just absolute insane amount of Japanese properties. I mean, you have Godzilla, you have Gotcha Man, you have Ultra, no, not Gotcha Man, you have Ultraman, you have Godzilla, you have One Piece, you have My Hero, you have Dragon Ball, you have Demon Slayer, and then of course you still have your TMNT and your McFarlane figures and stuff like that. Like, and these are all at a price point between $20 to $40. Same price point as most Hasbro products these days. Some a little lower, some a hair higher, but you get way better value for your money with these. So we decided to put a pin in it. The reason we did is because this Walmart. So if you want to talk about the state of Hasbro, um, this is a perfect subject right here. So if you want to talk about the state of Hasbro, this Walmart has the newest wave of Transformers already on clearance. These two right here, they are priced at a $20 price point. They retail brand new for $35. I've already heard a few rumblings that the new um Constructicon wave is already showing up at Ollie's, and people haven't even gotten their pre-order in from Big Bad Toy Store. Like, that's fucking insane. Like, tell me Hasbro shit the bed without actually saying it. And then, of course, the Spider-Man figure that we said to put a pin in. This is actually sitting on the floor of my living room. Because I ended up buying this figure. Again, this Electro just came out a month or two ago. And this Walmart already has them clearanced out at $8. Um, that's fucking insane. Because this is a $25 figure. So, $8, that's what, 2/3 off the price, and it's only a 2 or 3 month old figure. Like, like, I mean, are sales that bad for Hasbro products that they fucking can't move that fucking merchandise? It's stupid. So the next retailer, let's go to Target. So, um, we are gonna start on the Lego aisle. The Actually, we're just gonna browse one thing on the Lego aisle because my wife doesn't know about this yet. It is a Diagon Alley set, not like bigger sets that you connect to build Diagon Alley, but this is like a set like of the entire section of London where Diagon Alley is, as a large set. Next, we're going to scoot over to the regular toy aisle. Let's start with the Star Wars. Yeah, there's not much to say here. These figures have literally been peg warmers for months. Um, Not a fucking soul touches these. Every once in a while, one's taken down, and some employee puts it back up, but I don't think anybody has bought any of these. Um, Last night, I was at Target. This was taken on, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. Last night I was there, and they did get in the Luke and Leia's from A New Hope. Um, they got like six of each. I figure probably one or two of each will sell, and the rest will be peg warmers, which is sad because growing up, those would have been figures I would have played with a lot. I still need to get them for my personal collection, but with the way Hasbro and Star Wars is, I might try to sit around and see if they go on clearance. Next, we have the wrestling figures and then the anime figures side by side, which I think is funny. That these are side by side because when you go to the toy aisle, these are two of the most popular uh, figures or lines that sell, dude. Like, I am not a wrestling fan. Um, we are actually doing a few wrestling uh, things in the viewing room for Animazement this year. And I actually had to dive down a rabbit hole that I normally don't dive down, especially when it comes to Japanese wrestling. But when it comes to American wrestling, the only thing I know about is the Japanese wrestlers that have come to the United States. I don't know a lot about wrestling. I don't watch wrestling. It's not a bad thing, I'm saying. I mean, to each their own. I have several friends that are into wrestling, but one thing I'll say is on the toy aisle, these fucking things fly. Like, they get the fuck out of there. I don't see wrestling figures stick around for too long. Like, they get rotated out pretty fucking quickly. Same thing with the anime figures that are to the left of them. Those at this Target, they get, rotated and cleaned out pretty quick. Let's go to the next part, which is what little bit of Marvel Legends they have. Again, um, I think Target's kind of checked out on Marvel Legends because with the exception of, I think, the Spider-Man retro carded, they've pretty much checked out on Legends. Although there is two other Legends figures that came in. We're going to get to in a second when I get to them, but that's a whole nother point. Um, but yeah, this when it comes to standard release Legends, this is all they have. And keep in mind, I also was watching video of Toy Fair, and the only figure that was announced at Toy Fair was Archangel. Um, They really didn't make any announcements at Toy Fair for Marvel Legends. I mean, people I've gotten in it, me and a few people have discussed it that, what about was it Warpath and X-23? Well, they kind of redid those at Toy Fair because those were actually announced a month or two before Toy Fair. And so yeah, I mean, the only new figure that I've even seen anything about is the Archangel. Oh, and then the new $60 Hulk figure. That's right. I heard about that last night. Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Hulk is a big piece of plastic. But every iteration we've gotten of Hulk so far released by Hasbro has been a $40 to $50 figure, and it's actually always two figures in a pack. Like it's always Hulk and somebody else, like Bruce Banner, or I think the only time they sold Hulk was separate was when they did that. What was it? The retro Toy Biz style, uh, you know, clamshell bubble pack, and even then that was only a $40 figure. So $60 for Hulk because he's got a new sculpt and a fucking rubber overlay. Hasbro, you've lost your fucking mind. It's already bad enough that you're charging us what, $50 for a fucking Spider-Man, and now $60 for Hulk, and all he comes with is a fucking missile. Yeah, that's fucking stupid, dude. um then of course you have the McFarlane toys. And of course you got I forget the company's name that's making these, but they also have the what is it? The Batman what is it? The what was the Batman movie with Jim Carrey and stuff? Like these are like the reissues of that, and like they're not even very good reissues. Like um but I mean, they've been selling okay. I mean, I've seen quite a few collectors pick them up. I forget. I think it's Spin Master who's making them. I could be wrong. They didn't have much McFarlane toys in. McFarlane still has stuff coming out though until the end of the year. That's the one thing I will say about McFarlane is a lot of times the shit's already on the shelf before you even get the announcement. Um, Even though McFarlane has lost the license to Mattel, we still don't know the details on that. Next you have the Transformers and the Simpsons. They haven't got any new Simpsons in at this Target, and no new Transformers. This Transformer section has been nice and neat for about a week or two now. Um, you know, and then of course you have the Turtles and the Masterverse section. Um, this Target gets Masterverse in on a regular basis, and they get new Turtle stuff on a regular basis. And the reason being is the stuff sells. Mattel, like I said, even though they are a little higher price point, Mattel is still giving, for the most part, original sculpt. And Turtles, I mean, Turtles is Turtles is just popular with little kids and adults. And Turtles, is it, most Turtles are a really good price point, like between like $7 to $11 for a TMNT figure. Like, come on. And then of course Jurassic Park. I mean, Jurassic Park blows my mind. It's not a bad line. They've got some great vehicles that I've seen people do mods for 3.75. I've even seen some people take the dinosaurs and use them for toy photography with their legends and stuff like that. They're a little pricey, but again, Mattel is giving you your money's worth. When you buy a figure with, the Jurassic Park line, that figure comes with a few accessories. A lot of times comes with a vehicle or sometimes a little dinosaur, like a raptor or something. And then, of course, the big dinosaurs are really worth the money because they're articulated. Some of them have sound. Plus, they're just big hunks of articulated plastic. I mean, and I hate to say it, but kids fucking love dinosaurs. Um, The next picture we're going to talk about. So before I jump to the electronics section, or I shouldn't say electronics. This Target, their electronics section only has Funko Pops in it. They keep the NECA figures and stuff on the next aisle over rather than over in electronics. Before I go there, we're going to talk about this Electro figure. So this is the new Electro figure, $40. He doesn't come with shit. He comes with 2 extra hands and some electric effects for 40 fucking dollars. Now here's the funny thing. I compared them because, like I said, a day or two before, I had just bought the retro carded Spider-Man cartoon Electro. And that Electro uses the exact same electrical effects as this Electro. So basically, Hasbro is giving you a new sculpt of the classic or the Jamie Foxx Electro, which, from what I understand, people who've gotten this, it doesn't even have the likeness of Jamie Foxx. But you're getting the Jamie Foxx Electro with reuse electric effects and 2 hands for $40. Like, what's even more of an insult is literally on the shelf beside it, just one over, is Falcon from Falcon and Winter Soldier, or not Falcon Winter Soldier, but Falcon Brave New World. There's a figure from that for $35 that, again, is a new sculpt and comes with way more fucking accessories for $35. So you get no accessories, reused accessories, but a new sculpt figure for 40, and then a new sculpt figure with accessories, wings, all kinds of shit like that. Again, it's a new sculpt for 35. Like, and people ask why, people are checking out from Hasbro, like why people are like, nope, I'm out. Like, toys are already getting too expensive, and Hasbro's gonna fuck around and find out. Like, really? Like that's like literally Hasbro just like slapping their dick in your face. Like what the fuck? Like $40 for a figure that has reuse for just a figure with 2 hands. Reuse accessories, I should, clarify, but still, um, $40, and then Spider-Man again, $40 or no, $50 comes with a few more accessories. Again, it's a Spider-Man figure, and then $60 for Hulk. Sorry Hasbro. There's a lot of toy companies doing way better, at a better price point. Um, Again, Fresh Monkey Fiction, Operation Monster Force. The standard figures in that line run about $30, but they come with multiple hands, weapons, sometimes multiple heads, all kinds of gear and stuff. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them are original sculpts too. So if an independent company can do it, why can't a multi-billion-dollar company do it? Because, and I've heard people say, well, Hasbro has a lot bigger distribution, blah, 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 blah. That's a bunch of bullshit. If you know anything about economics, the more you produce, the more you distribute, like your cost goes down. That's just basic economics. If you're producing more product and your cost per product isn't going down, then you're not a good business person. Sorry, because that's just how business basically works. And don't try to give me the fucking bullshit about, well, plastic costs more. Well, yeah, fucking plastic costs more for fucking Fresh Monkey Fiction too. And they're doing better with more, giving customers more, giving the consumers more at a lower price point. They're not producing near as much, but they're still giving a lower price point. At the end of the day, for you people who don't want to admit it or have trouble, processing reality, Hasbro cares about shareholders first, CEOs second, and they don't give a fuck about their employees or you as a consumer. All they care about is you going in and buying their product. And they, Chris Cox, can't seem to figure out, well, I don't understand why nobody's buying our product. I don't understand why our fucking sales are down, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're producing garbage at a higher price point when there's other companies out there doing it better for less. Sorry, those are the facts. Anyways, let's go to the next retailer. Oh, before we do that, we got to go to the NECA aisle. So one aisle over at our Target, you have the NECA aisle with the with the, I call it the NECA aisle. There's a few other manufacturers over here, but most of it's NECA. On that second to the bottom shelf, if you look in the back, there's actually some Christopher Lee Draculas back there that I noticed yesterday. There's your Mirage TMNT, you have your, TMNT Ronin figures, you have gargoyles, all that good stuff. They had a lot of new shit in here. I ended up picking up the Donatello from the Mirage line, and now I finally have all four turtles from that line. Because I missed out on the 4-pack. Well, I didn't miss out on the 4-pack. I had the 4-pack and I sold it to a buddy of mine. At the local comic shop, the Dragon's Lair, and him and I were just talking the other day. It's kind of fucked up because NECA actually, that I think that box set was $200 at retail when it sold at Target, and the new turtles are the same sculpt that are in that box set, for $35 each. Plus, they come with accessories and extra shit that wasn't in the box set. So you're basically, NECA basically made you pay more for the box set because it was a limited release. I know it was like one of the Target Collector Con. If you're somebody like me who opens your figures, the collector's box would have been disappointing. If you're a collector that keeps your shit in the box, though, the collector's box is probably going to be worth more because it was released in a lot fewer numbers. But so let's go to the next retailer. Let's go to Hobbytown. So our Hobbytown here in Fayetteville has a complete ass load of Gundam models. I really should have taken more pictures. I really wasn't intending on putting Hobbytown in this video, but then I took a few pictures for a buddy of mine who was interested in some model kits and decided to add them on here because they kind of surprised even him and me. Now, Hobbytown's been here in town for a while now, that well over a decade. And them, the Hobbit on Yadkin Road, and Hobby Lobby are pretty much the big retailers when it comes to Gundam models here in town. But what blew our mind is the fucking Macross models that Hobbytown or Hobbytown had in. Sorry, not Hobby Lobby, Hobbytown. Yeah, it's not uncommon to see some of the fighters from like Delta or Frontier because those look like cool fighters. But to see fighters from Macross 7 and Macross Plus, that was impressive. Um, the guys over at Hobbytown get mad props for getting those in. Yeah, that highly impressive. Also, another thing that they had in. So, if any of you are familiar, the Star Wars model kits by Bandai, they released action figure models years ago. There was a big thing for a while where they were hard to get a hold of because Disney basically said they couldn't be sold in the United States. So a lot of major retailers couldn't sell them at the time. You could only get them through independent retailers, that were ordering them from distributors in Japan rather than, or not. I don't think they were ordering from distributors. I think they were ordering direct from retailers in Japan, and then marking the price up. but that ship sailed a long time ago, and they've been available for quite a while now. But there's a few kits that are still relatively rare. It's very uncommon to come across the Sand Trooper. The Sand Trooper is probably the most uncommon kit, other than maybe the Shadow Stormtrooper, not the Death Trooper, mind you, the Shadow Stormtrooper. The Shore Trooper and the Death Trooper are still pretty rare too, but the Sand Trooper tends to be the rarest. And then after those is the Stormtrooper and then the Clone Trooper. Finding Boba Fett, finding the Mandalorian, finding other characters like the droids, super easy. But I was really surprised that they had the Clone Trooper kit on the shelf at Hobbytown. Um, you know, if you do the kits, they you can do both Clone Troopers. You can swap the heads and do phase 1 or phase 2. So, you know, and the kit's only like $25 and it's super detailed and super articulated. I will say, based on some friends that I know that have them, if you do continuously use them for toy photography, though, the plastic starts to get brittle and break down. But yeah, I mean, if you're using them for toy photography, the model kits do some of the best shots at the same time. Um, so, but once you start posing them a lot, once you start bending them joints, the articulation, getting those oils off your fingers into that plastic, they eventually start breaking. Um, but they make some amazing fucking toy photos. Um, Next we're gonna do Hobby Lobby. Um, Again, Hobby Lobby has lots of fucking Gundam models. Woo! But the one thing about Hobby Lobby that impresses me is their selection of diecast cars. Um, you can get diecast cars at Walmart, Target, stuff like that, but Hobby Lobby gets in some really rare um JDM cars and stuff like that. By manufacturers like Johnny Lightning and M2. Um, Strangely enough, I happened to wander over one aisle from the models, and they even got enamel lapel pins in, which I know several people that go to anime conventions that literally this is what they collect. They've got hundreds of them. They either put them on pegboards in their office, or I know one gentleman who has a hat that he literally has pins all over. I think he's got 2 or 3 hats now, but yeah, Hobby Lobby gets in some good diecast cars like this Nissan Fairlady. Kind of obsessed with Fairlady. In fact, when I was at Hobby Town, I put a Kyosho Mini Z Fairlady on layaway. Finally pulled the trigger on that. But yeah, this was one of those things I wasn't originally intending on putting on the video, but I figured I had pictures that I took for a buddy of mine and some other stuff, and I figured I'd go ahead and add it in. And then Best Buy. Um, yeah, Best Buy, no physical media anymore other than video games. Um, and electronics like computers and headphones and TVs and appliances. They do have a small toy section, lots of Legos. They've scaled down how many toys they carry. They used to have a lot at our one here in Fayetteville. Now it's mostly Legos, but they do have a pretty good selection of NECA figures. I ended up picking up this Peter Cushing, Dr. Van Helsing, to go with my Christopher Lee Dracula. Um, they also had a bunch of RoboCop figures by NECA, including Murphy in his police uniform, with the vest and everything on. I will say that our Best Buy gets a lot of the more rare NECA figures in, which I don't understand why they're the ones that get them in and none of the other retailers do. Unless I'm just missing them at the other retailers, and Best Buy nobody goes there, I guess, to check. But they usually have a pretty good selection of NECA figures. The more obscure, the ones that, because Target gets in mostly turtles and gargoyles, um, and a few horror figures, on like Freddy and Nightmare at Christmas, or stuff like that. Um, when it comes to like RoboCop and stuff, I hate to say it, but our Target doesn't get that stuff in, but our Best Buy does. Um, and they had a pretty good selection when I was in there the other day. Finally, we are going to look at Second and Charles and Barnes and Noble. So we will start with Barnes and Noble. Um, I go to Barnes and Noble to pick up Barnes and Noble Second Charles to pick up my manga. I do browse the toy section and the RPGs at Barnes and Noble from time to time, but I tend to get my stuff, my RPGs and my stuff like that. I tend to get it from other retailers, because Barnes and Noble kind of has a markup on that kind of stuff. But every once in a while, I do find something at Barnes and Noble that I'm like, okay, I gotta fucking get this. And what I found this week was this JDM car set by Hot Wheels. Um, yeah, 6 really nice high-end Hot Wheels cars in a really nice box for display. Like, oh, like, yeah, this is something that will not be opened. Apparently these are packed one per case, the Japanese one. The other 4 or 5 in the case are European supercars. So the Japanese JDM cars, this box set apparently is the rare one, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I also grabbed a little bit of manga, but I should have taken pictures of that, but I didn't. But now we're going to jump to Second and Charles. Second and Charles, I do tend to buy toys there. Pardon me. Both used and new. Second and Charles surprises me from time to time. When it comes to manga and stuff like that, they're comparable to Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble tends to get in. So, so if I had to compare the two when it comes to manga, Barnes and Noble and Second and Charles equally get in the same amounts of manga, but Barnes and Noble will get in titles that Second and Charles won't, and Second and Charles will get in titles that Barnes and Noble won't. So I kind of have to go to both and then try to fill in the holes wherever I can. Um, it's a little frustrating. I mean, I could always order it from Barnes and Noble, but you know, I like ordering stuff there. The employees there treat me good. I have several friends who work there. In fact, the gentleman, Danny Hirheta, who does my artwork for my YouTube channel and my Instagram logos and stuff, he is a stock manager there. So it's not that I don't like shopping there because of the people or anything, because the people there are great. And honestly, I love their movie section. They've got so many independent Japanese movies and stuff like that. And I'm not talking anime, I'm talking live action. But when it comes to actual product like models or like the Jada Street Fighter figures, it's always a few dollars more than everywhere else. I mean, it's not outrageously marked up. I mean, we're talking, like the Jada figures are, I think, roughly $25 at regular retail, and Barnes and Noble, I think, had them for 30. So it's only a $5 markup. It's not like FYE, or was it FYE? Yeah, it's not like FYE was back in the day where they'd mark something up $20. It's not like that. So, but you know, if I can find it somewhere cheaper, I mean, again, money's tight, and I'm a toy collector and I'm a nerd, so I have to try to cut costs wherever I can. And if I can find the same action figure at Walmart, $5 cheaper, I'm gonna, go to Walmart and get it, because I mean that $5 makes the difference between me getting one action figure or two action figures. You know, um, you know, but again, when it comes to my manga though, like I said, other than Trilogy Comics, I pretty much exclusively get everything from Barnes Noble and Second and Charles. I would say Barnes and Noble more when it comes to my manga and my books, and more when it comes to merchandise and shit like that from Second and Charles. Um, but now that we've talked about those cars, we're going to jump to Second and Charles. The first thing, I found this really cool little cat. It was in a box of like, just like little figures, little rubber figures up by the registers. It said Goth Cats. This cat looks like fucking Doyle from the Misfits. Like he's got the spiked collar, his hair like should be a devil lock, but he's got like the black eyeshadow, and then of course he's wearing the leather jacket, and if you turn him around, the leather jacket has a cat skull on the back. Like what the fuck? Like you talk about a Doyle cat. I love it. When I was at Second and Charles this afternoon, or the day when I took these pictures, um, what did I get that day? I got something. I bought an action figure, but I don't remember what I bought. That's pretty bad. That says I buy too many toys. Um, yeah. I have, but it's like I think I bought one or two manga. I bought an action figure. Oh, I remember what it was. I bought a My Hero Academia action figure. What is it? The line that's released by Jazzwares. Yeah, I released the dude with the grenades on his hands. Because I didn't have him yet. I had what's his name, Midori, but I didn't have the dude with grenades on his hands, and I really wanted him for some toy photos because those figures by Jazzwares are amazing. Like I said, they're like a poor man's SH figure arts, multiple face swaps, multiple hands, effects, and the articulation's way better than the Anime Heroes line at roughly the same price point as the Anime Heroes line. Don't get me wrong, the Anime Heroes line's not bad. I mean, the Anime Heroes lines is way better, and same thing with the Dragon Stars lines. They're way better than anything Hasbro is offering. But, yeah, I mean, more bang for your buck. But the other thing I did notice at Second and Charles that fucking blew my mind. Again, I wasn't planning on sharing these, but I sent them to a buddy of mine and figured I'd share them. Was Godzilla soundtracks on vinyl. Like, so me and a bunch of my anime friends, we've had this conversation before. Um, when I first got married in 2000, vinyl was just starting to make a resurgence. Us punk rock kids, we had collected vinyl for years, but we didn't collect like full length albums. We got what was called 7 inches, which some of you might refer to them as 45s. But they were slightly different. I think if I remember correctly, a 7 inch was still at what 33 RPMs or revolutions per minute, whereas a 45 was called a 45 because it was 45 revolutions per minute. The difference was big hole in the middle, small hole in the middle of the vinyl. Anyways, but other than that, vinyl was pretty much dead in the 90s. Like you could go to any thrift store and buy records for a penny each. And then around the early 2000s, there was a revival of vinyl. I'd say more like around 98, because there were a few albums my wife bought before we got married, like the Sunny Day Real Estate Rising Tide album, which we didn't realize until years later when we opened it up that it was apparently there was like a chase vinyl, like all the other ones came in like blue or green, and like apparently like one out of like every 1,000 were white vinyl, and we had the white one. It was kind of crazy that we had literally had that in our collection for almost a decade and didn't even realize it because we had never taken the plastic off of it. In fact, it wasn't until I put it on eBay that I had to take the plastic off of it because somebody asked me about it in an auction. And once I found out it was the white vinyl, like that auction went kind of crazy. Um, anyways, but yeah, me and my anime friends were talking, because if you go to Walmart, you can get, or Target, you can get the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or, I've seen, Sailor Moon soundtracks at Walmart on vinyl. Just tons of different anime soundtracks are popping up on vinyl at a regular basis at big box retailers here in the United States. And, me and my anime friends, when we were in high school and college, and we would, if you had told us, hey, in 20 years, you're going to be able to buy anime soundtracks at Walmart and Target and on vinyl, not CD, we would have lost that bet. That would have been a bet we would have lost. And yeah, I mean, we did not see this coming at all. Like, anime soundtracks, Japanese live action movies like Godzilla, soundtracks on vinyl at 2nd and Charles in Fayetteville, North Carolina, not LA, not San Francisco, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yeah, we would have easily lost that bet. So yeah, these were a really big surprise though. I mean, I've seen anime soundtracks around Fayetteville in the last year or two on vinyl. Again, like I said, at major retailers, but I did not expect to see Godzilla soundtracks on vinyl. Yeah, that was a pleasant, that put a smile on my face. And in these days, with the way the economy is, and the government we live under, I'm not going to get into details or politics, but for something to put a smile on my face like that, it gave me the warm and fuzzies on the inside. But yeah, that was my retail walk around for March 31st to April 5th of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I will try to do these every few weeks. I'm not going to do it on a weekly basis because I hate to say it, but Fayetteville, does not get stuff in at retail like other cities. It's not a weekly thing. You know, I hate what's going to happen is I'm going to say it's not a weekly thing. And then the next few weeks, it's going to be random nonstop shit coming in everywhere. But no, seriously though, there's times I've gone toy hunting 2-3 weeks in a row and not found anything. And then it just pops up. So, plus, it makes my wife a little upset for me to go toy hunting on a weekly basis, even though it is good exercise. Because with toy hunting comes the risk of spending money. And again, like I've mentioned a few times in this video, money's getting tight for everybody. So, I will not do another toy hunt and photo video like this for a few weeks. I have the next few weeks I have to be getting ready for Animazement. We are closing the AMV contest and the toy photo contest, and yeah, I'll be working on those, so I will not be producing a lot of content. If you have any questions or want to make any comments, please leave them down below or email me. I'm also going to include at the end of this video a few toy photos I took this week, just to pad out the ending. And I think that's about it. Like, share, I really don't give a shit about that stuff. And we will talk to you guys later. Enjoy.
Dude, your balls are made of pussy.